Good afternoon. It is August 17th, 2022, and today, we made this leg down in the overnight, and then we really just went sideways, um, with a failed break lower is how I was looking at this, and then that led into the FOMC announcement right about here, and that continued this trend up. So it wouldn't surprise me if we got like two measured legs in here. Yeah, you can see almost perfect two measured legs. They made the first leg right until the FOMC announcement. Actually, it looks like this is before the FOMC announcement, and then it probably shot up at the FOMC announcement, made that leg, and then they just made a measured leg up, and then it sold off some more, it looks like. So let's take a look at how this finished. Okay, so it's a bearish doji, slightly bearish doji. You can see it's finding some support at the channel that we have up right now. So let's take a look at this price action. So in the overnight, you can see this sort of spike in channel down, overshoot, led to a break, and 5 o'clock, I guess, comes in somewhere around here. We don't get a second entry, unfortunately. This is just the first entry. This is a second entry. This looks like a good bet to me, but the risk was pretty high, and we did have a break in a new low, and this is above the EMA, so those are things that might make you a little worried. And then we come down here, and this just looks like a reversal pattern. We have a higher low right here. We've been breaking above the EMA. So this is a failure. We got a new low right here. First entry, failed second entry. Oh, whoops, and I forgot to mark this here. So that's how I saw that. If you just see this as a new low and one leg up, this kind of looks like one leg up here. Well, you get a second entry right here, and you might look at that as the failed second entry as well. So you could argue for that one, but I was looking at this like a range on that. I was watching the MES at this time. I had my range. Oh, you know what? Here, let me just use this. Oh, wow. I extended this pretty far because I didn't realize that. I had my range drawn probably closer to like this at first, and then we made these, and you can see the midline works out. So anyway, let's go back in. Yes, this is a second entry. It's just you're at the midline, or at least you're at a level of resistance here. So I'm not too sure about that. Come up here, nothing in there, and then we form this uptrend within the range. At this point, you would have had a range drawn. If not like this, then you'd have it off these lows over here. So either way, you should have known that it was a range at that point. Where are we at? Okay, we came up here. First entry, second entry, but it doesn't set up well. I do like the context of it coming off the lows of this range, potential range. We just bounced off the opening price, but I don't like the setup. Here we come up here, second entry long. Problem here is it kind of looks like one leg down. To me, but it's off the midline of the range, the short-term range, and it's off the trend line. So I think you can take that. Come up here, failed break higher, first entry, failed second entry, We're in a range, so we're expecting to go to these lows. The bias is down. I think you can take that. It looks like there's room back to the midline, which is what would be concerning me the most, 76.25. So there's a scalper's profit right there. 5 ticks. And maybe if you were watching it live, it looked like a good opportunity for an engulfing bar, and you would have gotten plenty of room. But anyway, we come down, test these lows. I don't think you want to take that. Good signal bar, but it's just the first entry. Wait on the high or low. Actually get a failure right here, and this is kind of tempting. But by the time you get the failure, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 bars stacked up, so you probably don't want to take that. And this is just too congestive in here. I like this. This like failed break below the opening price. It looks like this is like a triple top first entry, second entry with that much room back to the EMA on what's appearing to be like 4 points. What's appearing to be a range day. You might take that. Only problem is the bias is down. So you're going against the bias. We come down here and we get this level of support. Very, very congestive in here. This looks like a second entry, but all these dojis in here, I'd be pretty nervous about that. You see that rocket up. Another second entry. Again, I'd just be a little nervous. This one looks a little better because it looks like we're in a range and it's like a failed break higher. So, I mean, you might take that. And then I marked this one just on a triple test with a lot of room back to the EMA. But really, I would prefer for myself to stay out of stuff like this. This is actually a second entry I'm seeing. And we are making new lows, so if there's room, I'm going to mark this red if there's enough room back to the EMA, but I don't think there is. So 71. Oh, yeah, I'm going to mark that red just for a 1 point scout. And if you got in on that, you got all the way to these lows. So the reason I like that one is we're making consistently lower highs, and we're making new lows, but nothing as clear as day, but the bias is down. So with that being a 1 point scout, and you can see we got 2 measured legs down in there. Do I want this measured leg? This is the 2 measured legs I was talking about earlier. Let me delete that. Come up here, and there was a nice second entry short trap right here. We wouldn't have gotten trapped because the signal bar is no good, but it's worth noting. This is probably a failure, but that doesn't set up either. And then, yeah, we have this yellow channel working up. So, unfortunately, I don't really see how you could get in on this. But that turns out to be a channel. Then we form this pink range up here. This is about an hour before the announcement comes, so people are still trying to figure out what's going on. Here's a failure. But with the break of that yellow channel, I was just not, and all these dojis, I wasn't crazy about that. You get a second entry long right here. But looks like you're going into strong resistance, and it's a doji. But then you get a second entry long right here, and at this point we broke higher. I just don't, there's a doji. These are 3 bars stacked up, so it's just not the greatest. And then the FOMC announcement gets us some volatility. We come up here. This is pretty clearly a second entry, but we don't get a good signal bar, and you're going into this resistance right here. But when we break above that and you get a second entry long, that's also a failed second entry short. I think you got to take that. That's a nice move. You get this higher low. I'm not taking that though. And then we get one leg down. You can see that. One leg down, a leg of correction, a leg of correction, and another leg down, leg of correction. Or actually, this is one leg down, leg of correction. So we get this anyway. You get the second entry long off of the trend line, and it just, it's a second entry long, but all that momentum going into the trend line, I'd be a little nervous. I'd want to wait on a higher low, and that comes right here. And that's very good setup. So I like taking that. Actually, you get a failure right here. I didn't even see that. Nice failure right there. Comes up, hits that closing price from yesterday, sells off. First entry, failed second entry. Oh, that's a failure. I didn't even see that. So that's a failure. Really, I'm looking at that as a second entry, but with it also being a failure and confirming that trend line, I like that. But it's aggressive. It's off the. We just had our first break. There's dojis in here. There's reasons to market aggressive. First entry, lower high. First entry, second entry, new low, first entry, second entry. This is just congested, and that's for the rest of the day. It's just looking choppy to me. I don't see why I would take that. It's not a second entry. So, yeah, that brings us into the end of the day. So I hope everyone had a great day, and I'll be back tomorrow.